Yeah, he's running the same. Mayor, we're live.
Oh. Good evening and welcome to the Smyrna Town Council meeting. Sorry, I did not realize we were already on. I will call our meeting to order, and tonight Chaplain Tim York with the Smyrna Police Department will do our prayer, and our pledge will be done by Chief Bill Cuberson from the Smyrna Fire Department. If you'll all stand with me.
Let's pray. Our Father, we're grateful for our city. We're grateful for our leaders. We certainly pray for them tonight. We pray that you will give them wisdom, protection. And Father, we pray that you will also guide them in every decision made. I pray for the residents of our city. Would you bring protection to them, and would you bring prosperity and help them in everything that goes on in each home and each person's life. We ask you to be with our emergency services tonight. We pray for our law enforcement. We ask you for our firefighters. We lift all of them to you, and again ask for your help. Lord, we ask you to bless this meeting. In the name of Jesus we pray. Amen.
Would you face the flag, please?
I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Thank you, Chaplain. Thank you, Chief. Ms. Amber, if you will do roll call, please.
All right. Councilman Cole?
Yes, ma'am.
Councilman Morrell?
Present.
Councilwoman Peebles? Here. Councilman Short?
Present.
Councilman Sullivan? Vice Mayor Atkins?
Here.
And Mayor Reed?
Here. Okay, approval or corrections of the minutes of the October 11th, 2022 regular meeting and the October 27th, 2022 work session meeting of the Town Council. Jeff, are these in order? Okay. Council, any additions or corrections you'd like to make? Seeing none, do I have a motion to approve the minutes?
I move to approve the minutes.
Well, motion, do we have a second? Second. Motion and a second. Any discussion? All in favor say aye. Aye. Any opposed? Minutes pass. Amber or Brian, any correspondence or communications tonight?
No, ma'am.
Okay. We'll move on to awards and recognition. Tonight we have a proclamation and a certificate. We have a certificate of congratulations for Paul Plunkett from the Smyrna Skate Center. And Amber, I think you have a little something to read.
Yes, ma'am. Paul Plunkett has worked in the roller skating business for nearly 45 years, and for the past 37 years has been the operator of the Smyrna Skate Center. In addition to hosting hundreds of thousands of skaters throughout Paul's tenure at the Skate Center, countless birthdays, local school events, and sports teams have celebrated at the Skate Center. Paul has created a safe environment away from home for kids to spend their weekends making lifetime memories with friends and loved ones. Paul has employed and mentored thousands of young kids, instilling values such as work ethic, how to treat customers, and how to be a thinker when running a business. Many of Paul's former employees run extremely successful businesses of their own today because of Paul's wisdom, and countless others have become prominent contributing citizens to our community as a result of his mentorship. Paul Plunkett's character and genuine care for others extends beyond his long-standing business, as he prides himself on being a longtime member of the Smyrna Church of Christ. Paul and his wife Margaret are actively involved in the congregation, including but not limiting to serving as life group leader and head of building maintenance. Paul and his wife Margaret have 4 children, Sarah, Julie, Kate, and Bob, all of which have worked for the Skate Center over the years. The Smyrna Town Council, on behalf of the citizens of Smyrna, would like to congratulate Paul Plunkett on this most deserving accomplishment in his ownership at the Smyrna Skate Center, and extend heartfelt thanks for his selfless commitment in continuing to make Smyrna an exceptional place to live.
Thanks, Miss Amber. Paul, if you'll come forward, and if you want to bring whoever you brought with you, please come forward. Congratulations. And I will tell you, I spent many a night at the Skate Center from about middle school on. It was the cool place to be. And throughout the years, there's no telling how many kids have come through there that you have, like Amber said, mentored or provided a safe place. And that's one thing that we want to do in the town of Smyrna, is to provide a safe place for kids to be. So thank you. Also, thanks to you. I know that there's been many a nights, because what time is it? 11 or midnight now that you get to? 9 o'clock? Oh, gosh! Things have changed a little bit. We've all gotten old. You're right. So, but thank you for sharing Paul with our community. So, anything you'd like to
Thank you.
say?
I'd just like to thank you, thank the council, and all the folks that came before you. The reason the rink has been good is because the town has been good.
Absolutely.
And it continues, we hope to continue.
Good, great. Chief, you want to get a few pictures?
I also need to thank Paul too. He brings my two oldest.
Oh, there you go. There you go.
Okay.
Thank you. Congratulations.
Thank you.
Okay. Miss Amber, I think we now have a proclamation for Family Court Awareness Month.
Yes, ma'am. Whereas the mission of the Family Court Awareness Month Committee is to increase awareness on the importance of a family court system that prioritizes child safety and acts in the best interests of children. And whereas this mission is fueled by the desire to create awareness and change in the family court system for the conservatively estimated 58,000 children a year ordered into unsupervised contact with physically or sexually abusive parents, while honoring the hundreds of children who have been reported as murdered during visitation with a dangerous parent. And whereas the mission of the FCAMC is to increase awareness on the importance of empirically based education and training on domestic violence, childhood trauma, child sexual abuse, coercive control, and post-separation abuse for all professionals working on cases within the family court system. And whereas the mission of the FCAMC is to increase awareness on the importance of using scientifically valid, evidence-based treatment programs and services that are proven in terms of safety, effectiveness, and therapeutic value. And whereas the mission at the FCAMC is to educate judges and other family court professionals on evidence-based, peer-reviewed research. Such research is a critical component to making decisions that are truly in the best interest of children. Now, therefore, I, Mayor Mary Esther Reed, do hereby declare the month of November to be Family Court Awareness Month, and hereby encourage all residents to support their local community's efforts to prevent the harm of children in the hands of family members, and to honor and value the lives of children. Proclaim this the 9th day of November, 2022.
Thank you, Amber.
You're welcome.
Karen, you'll come forward. I want to thank you for what you and your organization do. I'll be honest with you, I hope it's something that one day we'll not ever need. But I know that it has to be tough, but something that currently is needed. So we appreciate you, and we are honored to be able to bring awareness to this. So anything you'd like to?
I do have a little bit.
Okay, well then tell you what, no, why don't we do a picture, and then I'll let you go to the podium to speak. How about that?
Does that work? Okay, just a couple.
Okay.
Thank you.
Go right to the podium.
I'm going to read from my speech because I don't like speaking in public, but sometimes you just have to. So, Mayor Reed and council members, I'd like to thank you for allowing me the opportunity to accept this proclamation declaring November as Family Court Awareness Month. My name's Karen, and my reason for being here today is a child safety advocate to bring awareness to serious child safety issues that are challenging the family court systems all over the country. Most custody cases are not decided in a courtroom, but for the ones that are, the majority involve domestic violence and/or child abuse. I'd like to share a few statistics with you. First, child abuse and neglect affects over 1 million children every year. And according to a 2012 report, child abuse and neglect costs our nation $220 million every day. A very conservative estimate is that 58,000 children are placed in knowingly abusive homes every year, which correlates with the most recently completed annual child fatality report by the Tennessee Department of Children's Services that shows in 2020, 7 Tennessee children died by homicide, and 43% of those were in their own homes. According to the Center for Judicial Excellence, the number of U.S. children murdered by a divorced or separated parent from 2008 to 2020 was 758. 1 year later, it was 811. Today, that number stands at 873. Tennessee has lost 17 children, but that number is most likely very low because of the way the research is required to be done, and most child abuse cases are sealed from public view. For quite a few years now, the majority of family court custody decisions have been prioritizing parent equity over child safety and well-being. There's tremendous pressure on judges to split custody 50-50 between divorcing parents, even in cases where there is allegations of domestic violence and child abuse, which are often countered with accusations of parental alienation. Even without concrete evidence, we believe that it would be best to err on the side of child safety. Research indicates that in the general population, 1 in 15 children are victims of child abuse, most often by a parent or caregiver. Now add to that the fact that domestic violence often worsens after separation and divorce, and the focus of abuse frequently turns to the children, since access to the other parent is now limited. Children are weaponized as sources of power and control, and studies show that 60% of perpetrators who abuse their spouse will abuse their children. It's also imperative to know that less than 2% of child abuse allegations made in court are found to be false. Less than 2%. However, most courts take that into consideration less than 25% of the time. Another mind-boggling statistic I have to share with you is from the Family Court Outcome Study at George Washington Law, which shows that abusive parents are far more likely to seek sole custody than the nonviolent ones, and they're successful about 70% of the time. After becoming a child safety advocate, I was shocked to find out that in many states, family court judges can be on the bench for decades with no requirement to receive updated education backed by scientific peer-reviewed research about domestic violence, child abuse, coercive control, and perpetrator and victim behaviors. In fact, the state of Tennessee Department of Human Resources confirmed the only profession currently required to complete such training in Tennessee is your hairdresser or barber. And that just went into effect this year. So even as a registered nurse, I was required by the state of Tennessee to have a minimum number of continuing education in the field of nursing that I practiced in. And if I didn't, my license would be revoked. Most other professions are required to do the same in order to demonstrate their competency in their field. So doesn't it seem logical that family court professionals who literally hold the safety of children and the future of our society in their hands would also be required to stay current with the most updated and scientifically validated information in the field of law that they practice in? Doing so would ensure the decisions they make every single day are truly in the best interest of children. I believe that children are not property of their parents. They're individual human beings, reliant on the adults in their lives for everything and worthy of being kept safe. So what's the goal of Family Court Awareness Month? It's to shine a spotlight on the need for mandated, up-to-date training for all family court professionals involved in making these life-changing or life-altering decisions. This training would enable those professionals to make trauma-informed decisions that will allow children exposed to family violence to live lives free of abuse. So Mayor Reed, I'd like to thank you for proclaiming November as Family Court Awareness Month in Smyrna.
Thank you so much for being with us and for information probably a lot of us didn't know. We appreciate
I
it.
think unless you've gone through it, you probably have no idea that it's happening.
Yeah.
And, children aren't property. They deserve to be protected, and we're the ones to do it. So,
Thank you so much. Okay, we will now move on to our consent agenda. And our consent agenda are items that are determined by our town manager to be routine matters, not necessarily needing discussion. And these items can be pulled off and discussed and voted on separately if there is a council member that has questions or feels we need to do that. I do always like to read the consent agenda so that the public knows exactly what we're voting on. There are quite a few tonight, almost a page and a half worth, so just bear with me. Item A is approval of the terms of and authorization for the mayor to execute a no-cost contract with TDOT to share access to their live video via CCTV. Item B is approval of the terms of and authorization for the mayor to execute an intergovernmental agreement with TDOT regarding roles and responsibilities for maintenance of a portion of the I-24 Smart Corridor system within town limits. Item C is approval of the terms of and authorization for the mayor to execute an agreement with TDOT to provide TAP grant funds for the Enon Springs, Hazelwood, Mason Tucker Sidewalk Project. Item D is approval of the terms of and authorization for the mayor to execute an agreement with Kimberly Horn to complete the NEPA design, right-of-way, and utility clearance for the Enon Springs Sidewalk Project. Item E is approval of the terms of and authorization for the mayor to sign the TDEC Notice of Intent Permit application for the town's MS4 program. Item F is approval of the terms of and authorization for the mayor to execute an easement agreement with the U.S. Army Corps of Engineers for a stormwater outfall along Florence Road. Item G is approval of the terms of and authorization for the mayor to execute a service extension agreement for the town's annual pest control. Item H is approval of the terms of and authorization for the mayor to execute a renewal contract with MR Systems Incorporated relative to the work at the water treatment plant for 2022-2023. Item I is approval of the terms of and authorization for the mayor to execute the annual maintenance contract with Aspiritech. Item J is approval of the terms of and authorization for the mayor to execute contract amendment number 3 with Thomas & Hutton for CEI service extension for the Olive Branch Sewer Project. Item K is approval of the terms of and authorization for the mayor to execute a contract with Thomas & Hutton for construction admin, SRF loan admin, and inspection for Basin A8, A9 sewer rehab project. Item L is approval of the terms of and authorization for the mayor to execute an engineering service proposal with Thomas & Hutton to continue sewer flow monitoring. Item M is approval of the terms of and authorization for the mayor to execute a change order number 4 relative to the wastewater treatment plant expansion. Item N is approval of the terms of and authorization for the mayor to execute change order number 5 relative to the wastewater treatment plant expansion. Item O is approval of the terms of and authorization for the mayor to execute a natural gas 50-year easement with the U.S. Army Corps of Engineers. Item P is approval of the terms of and authorization for the mayor to execute a contract with Otmo for the purchase and support of an athletic field robot painter for the Parks and Recreation Department. Item Q is approval of the terms of and authorization for the mayor to execute an agreement with Tennessee Rehab Center relative to the recreation field use by the Parks and Recreation Department. Item R is approval of the terms of and authorization for the mayor to execute a contract with Minnesota Children's Museum for the rental of Wild Kratts Ocean Adventure for the Smyrna Outdoor Adventure Center. Item S is approval of the terms of and authorization for the mayor to execute a grant contract with the State of Tennessee Department of Environment and Conservation for tennis and pickleball courts at Cedar Stone Park. Item T, and the last item under the consent agenda, is approval of the terms of and authorization for the mayor to execute a contract with Cigna for the Town of Smyrna's employee health, medical, dental, and stop-loss coverage for the calendar year 2023. Council, is there any questions you have on any item or an item you'd like to pull off and discuss individually? Seeing none, do I have a motion to approve the consent agenda?
I move to approve the consent agenda.
I have a motion, do we have a second?
Second.
Motion and a second. Any discussion? All in favor say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Consent agenda passes. We'll now move on to old business, and tonight we have 5 public hearings, and our first public hearing is consideration of an ordinance relative to the rezoning of property located on tax map 28, Parcel 78.00 from a PUD to C4. It's requested by Rock Springs LLC. The property requested to be rezoned contains approximately 74 100ths of an acre and is located at 1071 Rock Springs Road. Kevin?
Yes, Mayor and Council, this is a request to take this PUD that was implemented and just go back to the C4 zoning, which is what was zoned previously. It is at 1071 Rock Springs Road. It's about 900 feet west of the intersection with Old Nashville Highway. The land use plan for this area is what we call our Sam Ridley Corridor character area, and this request would be consistent with that. The land use plan. Surrounding zoning is a mix of R1, C2, and C4. The previously approved PUD was to build a new building to be, and with a dance studio and attached apartments, kind of a mixed-use building. That was never implemented, and so the new owner wishes to utilize the property with C4 uses. The Planning Commission did review this, did recommend approval, and staff would also recommend approval.
Questions for Kevin on this? Seeing none, we'll go to the public to see if there's anyone here to speak for or against this item. Seeing no one, we'll close the public hearing and go to council for a motion.
I move we approve.
For a motion, do we have a second? Motion and a second. Any discussion? All in favor, say aye. Aye. Any opposed? Motion passes. Item B is a public hearing. It's the consideration of a resolution relative to a plan of services for property located on tax map 26, parcel 18.00.
Yes, Mayor and Council, this is the plan of services for the annexation, which is the next item on your agenda. This puts in writing the services the town would be providing upon the effective date of annexation. The town will be providing all services to this property upon annexation. Sewer is currently not available, but it is being extended as a part of the Jefferson Pike widening project. And that is reflected in the plan of services. The Planning Commission did review this, did recommend approval, and staff would also recommend approval.
Questions or comments for Kevin on this one? We had quite a bit of discussion on it. Seeing none, I'll go to the public to see if there's anyone here to speak for or against this item. Seeing no one, I'll close the public hearing, go to council for a motion.
Move to approve.
For a motion, do we have a second?
Second.
Motion and a second. Any discussion? All in favor say aye. Aye. Any opposed? Motion passes. Item C is the public hearing for consideration of an ordinance relative to the annexation and C2 zoning of the property located on tax map 26, parcel 18.00, requested by Michael Hollingshead. Contains approximately 4.03 acres. The property is located at West Jefferson Pike and Hickory Grove Road.
Yes, Mayor and Council, this is the annexation, as you said, at the corner of West Jefferson Pike and Hickory Grove Road. Property has frontage on both streets. The land use plan is the kind of the 840 gateway area, support a mix of uses, including certainly uses that are allowed within the C2 district. Surrounding zoning is the PUD in town, which is the cornerstone of Smyrna PUD, and CS in Rutherford County. The town would be providing all services, as I stated earlier, except sewer is being extended as a part of the Jefferson Pike improvements. Property is currently undeveloped. The Planning Commission did review this, should recommend approval. Staff would also recommend approval.
Anything to follow up on this piece of property from anybody? Seeing no one, we'll go to the public to see if there's anyone here to speak for or against this item. Seeing no one, we'll close the public hearing, go to council for a motion.
Motion we approve.
For a motion, do we have a second?
Second.
Motion and a second. Any discussion? All in favor say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Motion passes. Item D is our housekeeping item, which is a consideration of a resolution and memorandum of ordinance 22-40 relative to the annexation and C2 zoning of property located on tax map 26, parcel 18, containing approximately 4.03 acres. Do I have a motion? A motion and a second. Any discussion? All in favor say aye. Aye. Any opposed? Motion passes. Item E is also a public hearing. It's a consideration of an ordinance relative to the rezoning of property located on tax map 19, parcel 25.03, to go from I-2 to PUD. It's requested by Camden Venture LLC. The property requested to be rezoned contains approximately 6.3 acres and is located at 704 Swan Drive. Kevin?
Yes, this is a request. It's on Swan Drive, about 600 feet east of the intersection with Weekly Lane. This is part of our airport innovation character area, which we, again, kind of support a mix of various uses. Surrounding zoning is I-2 and R6. This proposed PUD is to utilize a portion of the existing building for vehicle sales. The proposed operation is not a typical a car lot, as most sales would originate online. Vehicles will be stored inside the building. There would not be any new construction on the site. The PUD would add this as an allowed use, but also keep the building setbacks and uses as allowed in I-2. The applicant has stated there will be no repair use at this location. The Planning Commission did review this request, did recommend approval with two conditions. One, that no repair work of any kind is done at this location, and that the vehicles for sale are stored inside the building. Staff would also recommend approval.
We had quite a bit of discussion on this one, even heard from the applicant at our last meeting. So are there any other questions for Kevin before we move to the public hearing? Okay, seeing none, I'll go to the public to see if there's anyone here to speak for or against this item. Seeing no one, I'll close the public hearing and go to council for a motion.
I'll move we approve.
A motion to approve, do I have a second?
Second.
Motion and a second, any discussion? All in favor say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Motion passes. Our last public hearing tonight is a consideration of an ordinance relative to the rezoning of property located on tax map 28E, Group A, parcel 16.01, to go from R4 to C2. It's requested by Barry Royal. The property requested to be rezoned contains approximately 20 acres and is located on Imperial Boulevard. Kevin?
Yes, this property is located on Imperial Boulevard. It also has some frontage on Front Street. It also borders the CSX Railroad right-of-way along its entire eastern border. Land use plan in this area is mixed residential, kind of support a mix of housing types with varying lot sizes. It's kind of meant to be a transition between other character areas. Surrounding zoning is a mix of R1, R4, R6, C2, and C3. The Planning Commission did review this, did recommend approval, and staff would also recommend approval.
Questions for Kevin on this? Seeing none, we will go to the public to see if there's anyone here to speak for or against this item. No one, will close the public hearing, go to council for a motion.
Move to approve.
A motion, do we have a second?
Second.
Motion and a second. Any discussion? All in favor say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Motion passes. Okay, that concludes our old business, and we'll now move on to our new business. We have a couple of items under the Planning Commission report, and our first one is consideration of an ordinance relative to the annexation and PRD zoning of property located on tax map 54, parcels 57.03, 57.04, and 57.05. It's requested by Paul Leibovitz on behalf of Portofino Alfaro, containing 96/100ths of an acre. The property is located at the corner of Rocky Fork Amelville Road and Briley Road. And council, you do have paper in front of you that was brought tonight. Kevin, have you seen this?
Yeah, I believe I
Okay,
have. Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah, there's three separate tracts of land here. They're all proposed to be annexed and developed together as one development. They are located at the southwest corner of the intersection of Rocky Fork Amelville Road and Briley Road. Land use plan would support medium-density, single-family residential development in this area. Surrounding zoning is PRD in town, which are the Derby Run and Cedar Hills PRDs, and RM in Rutherford County. The town would be providing all services to this area except for water, which would be provided by Consolidated Utility District. They have indicated there is adequate fire flow for residential development in this area. The developer would be required to extend sewer to this development from Derby Run. This proposed PRD is for 5 single-family lots. Staff did recommend as a part of this annexation that approximately 300 linear feet of the existing right-of-way of Briley Road be annexed as a part of this request, and Planning Commission concurred. The proposed houses would be 1,900 to 2,400 square feet, be finished with stone and concrete siding. Developer has requested a 25-foot front setback along Briley Road for Lot 2 of the development. There would be a side entry garage on that lot, which would allow for enough room to park 4 vehicles in the driveway. The driveway on this lot would be required to be widened to better ensure that this is the case. All other driveways are shown correctly and would have, all of the other lots would have the 35-foot front setbacks. The Planning Commission did review this request, did recommend approval with that condition that the the driveway on Lot 2 be widened, and staff would recommend approval.
Mark or Tim, anything you want to add?
When we considered it during Planning Commission, several things were important. Number one, the types of homes and lots were similar to the surrounding area, so we stayed consistent there. When we were looking at the one road with one drive with the setback variance, Kevin, correct me if I'm wrong, really, we're looking at about 35 feet to the garage, is that?
Well, it's the 25-foot, it mainly is because of the corner of the house there. The garage would be where it's set back, but being a side entry, not a front entry, it allows for you to come into the side
Right.
and provides enough
And
room.
this is that one that's on Briley,
Yeah.
That's correct.
closest to the corner.
That's correct.
So in essence, it creates the parking on the premises that we need, because I know a big concern of ours on all projects is to make sure that we have vehicles in driveways and in garages versus on the streets for a safety perspective. So what they did meets this, and especially with the widening of the drive, we feel like we've achieved that with this one lot.
And it's necessary because of the shape of the lot itself.
Correct.
Okay. Other questions or comments?
Mentions an HOA, is that freestanding HOA, or is it tied in with any other local subdivision?
It would be its own HOA, yes. And there would have the third-party management as we require typically.
What size are the lots?
They're 5,500 to up to, I think one of them's actually almost 9,000.
Yeah, 8767.
Yeah, and that's what we're seeing in all these PRDs now, anywhere from 5 to 8 or 9,000. It kind of ranges depending on if they're on a cul-de-sac or something. Sometimes they're a little bigger because you get to those curves and things like that.
And because it's the small number of lots it is, the open space is going to be on those 2 corners. And
Yeah.
part of that open space is going to be for the stormwater.
That's correct.
Okay.
Other questions, comments? Seeing none, do I have a motion?
I move we approve.
A motion to approve, do I have a second?
Second.
Motion and a second, any discussion? All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Motion passes. Item 2 under new business has been withdrawn. So we'll move on to item B, which is package liquor board report. There were no applications for the town council to consider at this time.
Thank you very much. Thank you.
And we'll move on to item C, which is consideration of a resolution to set dates and times for the 2023 council meetings and work sessions. Brian, anything with this?
No, ma'am, I think each of you have received the calendar events for those meetings, and pretty typical, it'll be the first Tuesday after planning, and then the Thursday for the workshop, other than when we get into the holiday seasons, and we just have to work around those, so should be pretty straightforward.
Make sure you look at those when you put them on their calendars, because it's not always the second Tuesday of the month, it's the first,
It's the
after
Tuesday
planning.
following the planning.
Right. Okay, do I have a motion?
Motion to approve.
Do we have a second?
Second.
Motion is second, any discussion? All in favor say aye. Aye. Any opposed? Motion passes. Brian, can you make sure we're sent calendar
You-
events
you-
for that?
You've been sent those.
Okay. Okay. We'll move on to item D. Consideration of an appointment of one member of the town's Municipal Industrial Development Board to serve an unexpired term ending in 2025. We have not had any applications at this time for any of the three boards we're going to talk about in item D, E, and F. So if there's anyone that would like to serve on the Industrial Development Board, the Stormwater Advisory Committee, or the Rutherford County Library System Board, we would encourage you to come online and fill out an application. We would love to have you apply. Jeff, since we've had no applications, is there anything we need to do with these three items?
No, I don't think you can take any action.
Okay. Okay, so we will put those on the agenda we'll put them on the workshop agenda, we'll talk about them again, and then we'll hopefully have some applicants for the next meeting. Anything under other tonight?
No, ma'am.
Okay. Status reports. Oh, look, it's the birthday boy. Woohoo! Happy birthday. Have you had a good day?
I do. I
Good.
did, and I feel good.
Good, good. Anybody
very
bring you a
much.
present?
September,
I guess that's a no. No presents?
not yet,
No, not yet?
Not yet.
Oh, I think Todd's got one for you later.
nor dinners
That's right.
or anything
Okay.
else. September state share tax, we received $688,813. September local sales tax, we received $1,462,909. And with these taxes, we're on pace to meet the budget.
Look at the difference in 17, 18 to where we are now. It's pretty big. HG, anything you want to say about that?
I think that there's a significant correlation between shop and local. Is that what you're looking for, Mary?
I was. I was trying to tee it up for you.
Okay.
Any questions or comments for Rex? Thanks, Rex.
Thank you.
Announcements. Directors, department heads, anybody have anything tonight? See no? No? Okay. Ms. Amber?
Actually, yes, tonight. I just want to recognize and thank all of our service members. I know Friday we have Veterans Day coming up. My father is a veteran, so he was a member of the Navy, and actually want to wish him a speedy recovery. He just had ankle reconstruction surgery, and he's in an inpatient at the VA hospital, an inpatient rehab right now, rehabbing that. So get well quick, and hopefully the doctors, or a doctor, will be there on Friday for him on Veterans Day. So
Hopefully so.
that's it.
Thanks. Brian?
Yes, ma'am. Thank you, Mayor and Council. I do have a couple of announcements tonight and a couple of things I'd like to share. First thing I'd like to do is recognize one of our employees, Kyle Gill, who works at the wastewater treatment plant. He was called, there had been some damage in a manhole at the Rotary Soccer Park, and he came out, and one of the first things he did is used his air quality monitor, and this came in from our safety person, Bert Meese. Talked about how he quickly understood the dangers of some of those things that could happen, and through his investigation, he found out that we had some hydrogen sulfite, which is a dangerous chemical for our employees to ingest, and he made that situation safe and protected our employees. And Bert Meese, our safety coordinator for the utilities, just wanted to point out kudos to Kyle for his quick actions and also working with Leland and our water treatment plant to take care of that situation before anybody was hurt. The other thing, unfortunately, it's since our last meeting, I have not had a chance to share with you, but Kevin Rigsby, who's here tonight, we want to extend our condolences to the passing of his father-in-law, to his family and his wife. We know that's always a tough thing to lose an immediate parent like that, and just wanted them to know that we're thinking about them and our prayers are with them. The other thing I want to share with the group, I know that several of you know Coach Rakes, and I've got an update. His surgery has appeared to be successful, but he is now at Adams Place in rehab and will be there for a little while, so anybody want to reach out to him either by card or to go by, I'm sure he would enjoy some visits and cards to read. So Coach Rakes is rehabbing now at Adams Place in Murfreesboro. Next on my list, it's that time of the year. All of us are going out in our yards, and instead of seeing grass grow, we're seeing leaves fall. And we have a lot of folks that, will rake up their leaves and expect the town to pick those up, and we will. But they have to be placed at the street in a biodegradable leaf bag. We will not pick up plastic bags because where we take the leaves will not accept that. So make sure if you're raking up your leaves, you can go to Lowe's or Home Depot or some of those hardware type stores, Ace Hardware, something like that. Get the biodegradable bags and make sure that you're putting those at the street for us to pick up. We'll pick those up on our regular routes as we do the brush trucks. But if it's in plastic bags, we are unable to pick those up. And if they're just raked out there loose, we're unable to pick those up. So, all right. Next, and Amber just mentioned this, this Friday at 11 o'clock, we will be at the Jeff Coos Memorial with our local VFW. We have Major General Jeff Holmes from he's the Adjutant General with the state of Tennessee for our military group. He will be our guest speaker. So please come out and join us. We're hoping that the weather will hold up. We do have a backup plan. If we do have rain, we'll go down to the town center and perform those services. But that's Friday, November the 11th at 11 a.m. at Lee Victory Recreation Park at 102 Sam Ridley Parkway East. Please come out and join us, honor our veterans. At this point, we're on top of a pretty significant holiday as well. I just want to make sure the town of Smyrna wishes everybody a happy Thanksgiving. And we hope that you get to spend some time with your families and enjoy the season, the beginning of the holiday season. I just do want to recognize that our police, fire, water treatment, wastewater treatment, and some of our parks folks, although we'll be closed on Thanksgiving Day, some of those folks will be working, and through the holiday, the Parks Department will be back open after and the golf course. I always forget about the golf course, but the golf course will be open, taking tea times. And we'd love to have you come out and enjoy those with your families, but enjoy the holiday itself. We just recently completed with the Parks Department our Halloween in the Park. I have to be honest and admit I was sick that day. I was not able to be out there. It's a struggle for me to miss that. That's one of my favorite events of the year. Our Parks Department just does a great job of providing family-friendly services, from hay rides to haunted mazes and different things, and then seeing the kids in the costumes and the costume contest and pie eating contest and all those kind of things. It was tough to miss that, but I just want to say thank you to the fire department, the Parks Department, the police department, and everybody that was out there that participated in the Halloween in the Park. Mike, what did we, somewhere around 8,000?
That's what Chief's saying.
Chief's saying somewhere around 8,000 kids and families were out there and enjoyed the park that day. So again, thank you so much for everybody coming out, and thank you so much for the work that you guys do. And also the streets department, or the utilities department, because they're our sponsor for that. So the next slide I have, this one was one that kind of slipped up on me. I didn't know this actually had happened, but Smyrna Baseball League, for their end of the season, had a trunk or treat celebration on the same night, I think, out at Cedarstone Park. So I wanted to share some pictures. The kids really had a great time. There's several cars in the parking lot that the families provided candy items and that kind of stuff for the kids, but they played a little t-ball and had a little fun out at the park at night. And everybody knows how beautiful that park is, but at night it really shines under the lights. So thank you to Cedarstone, the Smyrna Baseball League, for providing that service. Next, we have No Trash November. That goes right in line with my platform of, love where you live, folks. I want to give a shout out tonight. I got a call from Seven Oaks. We've got some folks out in Seven Oaks, and I've mentioned them before, but they are adamant about keeping that back road clean. They're doing a really good job of it, so they've expanded their view, and they're beginning to come down Enon Springs West. And I got a call about 2 weeks ago about a trash dump on our pump station there on Enon Springs Road. And we decided we would like to take a little closer look at this, and I think Captain Dwyer, I see him sitting back there, and we contacted the police department, and they went out and actually did a little investigation on the dump. We were able to find some people's names. We contacted those people. And lo and behold, it appears that who was doing their trash recovery from their homes might be not making it all the way to the dump with some of the stuff in the truck. We were able to get that site cleaned up, and then this week, guess what? Down next to on Enon Springs Road, close to the school, we had another dump. We went out, and the police department very vigilantly went through, and lo and behold, it's the same company. And this time, we were able to make contact with the company, and they received a couple of nice invitations to come to our courtroom, and we will be prosecuting them. And I want to give a shout out to Seven Oaks. Not only did they, report that, they actually offered to go clean it up. We were able to get our streets department out there and get it cleaned up, but our police department did a great job of finding the culprit, and we're going to see if we can't rectify that we don't have those massive dumps like that. Now, that's one segment of the trash problem we have. The other is just people littering. Again, I'll go to my platform of love where you live, folks. Take some pride in our community. Don't throw your trash out the window. Keep it in the car till you get to the service station or get home and can put it in the trash receptacle. It takes each and every one of us making a conscious decision not to litter. We've got a great community, and we need to take pride in it. So love where you live. That's all I've got tonight, Mayor.
Mayor, actually, I have two things. One, just to piggyback on what Brian was talking about. On Sunday, I noticed that there was a mattress and a recliner that was left on the Greenway on Weekly. And thanks to Mike Moss and his department, they picked it up pretty quickly. By the time I come back from the store, it was already gone. And secondly, obviously, thank you to the veterans. And if my math is correct, this will be the 75th Veterans Day that it was started in Birmingham, Alabama by World War II veteran Raymond Weeks. Called it National Veterans Day. So thank you to the veterans.
Thanks. Raquel?
A couple of things. Thank you to Mr. Gill for his quick action, and to Leland and the water treatment the department for taking care of those things. Condolences to you, Mr. Rigsby, on your father-in-law. I'd like to wish Coach Rakes a speedy recovery, and to also thank the citizens at Seven Oaks for being good citizens and even being willing to go and clean up something that you didn't even cause. So thank you for reporting and working to keep the town of Smyrna clean. I'd also like to offer some condolences this evening to Pastor Pat Hood and his family, as well as the Life Point family, on the loss of Amy Hood. She was truly an anchor for the church and for her family, and I just would like to offer up my condolences. She's a special lady. There have been times that things have been going on in my life, and she would send texts to me just to offer some encouragement. So I do want to take a moment to just extend my condolences to Life Point and to Pastor Hood. Also, wanted to piggyback off of Halloween in the Park. Sorry that you missed it, but it was a great event. Thank you to all the departments that participated. It always seems to go off without a hitch, and all the kids and the parents seem to have such a great time. So thank you for always putting that on and just offering parents a safe place to bring their children. And Veterans Day. It is coming up, as we have previously discussed, and I'd like to say thank you to all of the veterans and to all of their families for their service to this country. And lastly, actually not lastly, congratulations to Paul Plunkett on the skating rink certificate. I, along with Mary Esther, we've spent a lot of time there, as well as our kids, and many families here probably have been able to allow their kids to share in that experience. So congratulations to him. Thank you to Karen McNaughton for all the information that she shared with us today regarding family court. I think it was invaluable information, and that we probably all learned something from what she said this evening. And now, lastly, yesterday was Election Day, so I would like to take a moment to congratulate all of the elected officials that were voted into office yesterday. And then I will end on that.
Thank you. HG?
Amy Hood was a very fine lady. At one point, she was a employee of the town of Smyrna, and as has been said, of course, she's mother to half of the church in the town of Smyrna. And two of her boys actually worked for me over the years, and you know, some employees give you problems, some employees don't give you problems, and you can tell which ones, quote unquote, have any raisin and which ones don't have any raisins. And these boys, these were fine young men. She'll be missed. Another thing, speaking of the ones that work for me, a number of years ago I opened a business across the street over here, and after 32 years I retired. This was back in July. And I sold it to a fellow named Victor Miller out of Mount Juliet, and he changed the name of it to Strickland Brothers 10-Minute Oil Change. The place looks great. He did a very good job. He kept all of my employees. I was proud of that. I have been informed that they are putting out the same great service that they did under me. But last week we did have a grand opening for Strickland Brothers, and myself, town manager Brian Hercules, assistant town manager Todd Spearman, Commissioner Carl Boyd, and Vice Mayor Mark Atkins all attended, and they are open for business, and as I said, I think that they're doing a good job over there. Veterans Day, you know, it's a very solemn occasion for our country, and as we honor the people who worked and gave their lives for our community, our country. But there's another thing that goes along with that, and that's my mother's birthday, which happens to be Friday, and I'm very happy to have my mother around. She's a rock that I was built on top of, and if y'all happen to come across her, tell her happy birthday. Thanks to my fellow council people for the support in the local election that we concluded yesterday. I'm proud to serve for 4 more years, and I'm proud to serve with these people for the next 4 more years. So thank you.
Thanks. Tim?
I'll start with adding my appreciation to our veterans and their family for their service to our country. Kevin, condolences to you and your family, and Pat and the Hood family, certainly heartfelt condolences there. I'd like to go ahead and take the moment to congratulate Mary Esther, Mark, HG, and Jerry on their election. I look forward to continuing to serve with you. Good things continue to be ahead. So I'm grateful for that. Also, I was fortunate enough to attend a ribbon cutting this past week at Nurture Pediatrics. And as many of you know, one of my great passions here is the development of our medical community. And, you know, with the pediatric practice, you know, the folks here are seeing our infants, and, you know, we continue to build that so that we can take care of our family in Smyrna from the time they're born until they get older, like Jerry. But Jerry, I didn't mean that, I'm sorry.
Be kind.
I'll be kind. I had to add that. No, because, growing up, and I think most of us can relate up here, if something was seriously wrong, we went to Nashville or Murfreesboro. Now we have it here. We've got that great foundation with Stonecrest. So we continue to look to build this out. Attending with me was Brian, Todd, Rex. We had Phil Wilson there, and it's good to see our county commissioners become represent us here to get out and go to these ribbon cuttings with us. Finally, happy Thanksgiving. Chief, I'm frying turkeys again this year. If you guys want to be on standby, it'll be really good, or you guys can help me with some smoked turkey when it's all over. Thank you.
Jerry?
Had the opportunity to go over to Brother Tim York's church here a couple of weeks ago, and that was, I'm hoping I'm not getting somebody else's thunder, but really appreciated the invitation to go over there, and they had a special service for those that serve community, and so really appreciate that. And also I noticed, I think he's gone, but I think he's got a brand new grandbaby, it looked like, here the last couple of days, so congratulations to him for that as well. Certainly my condolences to Pastor Pat and the loss of his wife and that church and that congregation. I know that it's going to be a big void to fill there, and certainly my thoughts and prayers are with them. Amber, I hope your dad gets better. Yeah.
Tell him I would call him after the meeting.
So if the phone rings, we know it's yours, right? When mine rang, they were calling about my car warranty. But, also Veterans Day coming up. Thank you so much to the veterans. I know have one that usually sits here next to me. Appreciate him and all the others so much. My dad was a veteran, and of course I think about him all the time. And those guys will tell you that Veterans Day is our day, and then Memorial Day is for the ones that didn't make it back. And but I'd say that something to Dad, and he'd always tell me that. But they're so much appreciated, and just hope they have a wonderful day. Congratulations or thank you to Kyle Gill. I've seen him work quite often, and he does do a fantastic job, so appreciate that. We had one last month that we talked about. The name was Jason Snyder, and I knew Jason, so I called Jason's dad and told him about it, and just made it that it had been mentioned here, and he was so happy, and so also here for Kyle. Mike, Halloween in the Park, as always, fantastic job. Just looks like it goes off like Raquel said, without a hitch, and you guys do a great job. It is always something fun to attend, and just to see the costumes that the kids come up with, and really had a great time. So thanks to all of those that did that work for that. As they mentioned before, yesterday was Election Day. I am very happy to be able to serve 4 more years with this group here. It's been a fun 4 years, and I really appreciate the help that they gave me during this time. Everybody up here helped us as well. Several people in the audience here was a big help, and I want to thank them as well. But congratulations to our mayor, to Mark and HG as well, and again, look forward to working with you and the other 3 as well. So, Mayor, that's all I got.
Mark.
Kevin, to you and your family, condolences to your wife, your father-in-law, loss of him. Amber, to your dad. Veterans Day has been mentioned a couple of times up here already. Thank you all for recognizing that. I, too, am a child of a veteran, 2 veterans, actually, and both since passed. But like Jerry pointed out, they're both very proud of serving our country, teaching their 3 sons to raise their hands and put it over your heart and say the Pledge of Allegiance and be thankful and grateful for what this country's been giving us. So on Veterans Day, my intent will be to be there and honor our veterans in such a way. Pastor York opened our meeting tonight in prayer, and he was mentioned as inviting our council to come over for a, basically they like to appreciate the leadership in the community on a certain Sunday. So we all got to attend. He brought a great sermon, and I enjoyed it thoroughly. We also, the week prior, and I don't think we've gotten to mention this, if we have, I forgot, but the First United Methodist Church also invited us the week prior, and many of us attended that, to celebrate their 150th anniversary. So that's a big event for them, and we were proud to come. You mentioned the election. Yes, there's been an election, and today has been a day full of picking up a lot of signs. So if there's somebody out there and I missed your yard, I've been out all day today, and I'll be happy to come out tomorrow as needed if I missed you. I'd like to pick it up and thank you for your support in this election. Thank you to the support of this group here. I want to say a special thank you to my wife, Connie, because Connie's always had to work, except on election day, and she's never been able to really pitch in and help me much. But this year she's retired and served 28 years at Smyrna Elementary School, so she picked that site to work yesterday with some of those little troublemakers right back there. Yeah, I'm talking to you, Miss Appleton. She told on you a lot. I'm just kidding. She said she enjoyed meeting you, but she was there and put a lot of time in for me yesterday at the precinct, and I just want to thank her publicly for that. But elections aren't the most important thing in our lives. And this week, I got a phone call right after we had gone to Pastor York's church. That phone call was from Connie to tell me Amy Hood had passed away. You start putting things in perspective. Start putting things in perspective. Because life is too short to get too caught up in things that really don't matter as much as what my pastor and my good friend Pat and his family are having to go with right now, what they're having to deal with right now. Amy leaves behind Jaden, Allie Kate, Isaiah, all adopted. 2 from China, 1 from Ethiopia. That's the love this mother had. That's the type of family they were. And then Seth and Zach, their grown sons. Great examples of young men. Seth spoke at the service. If you did not see me here Thursday night for Planning Commission, I chose to be there with that family, and I needed to be there. Pat's a good friend of mine, not just my pastor, but a dear friend of mine. And so I wanted to be there in support of that family. And I hope that if any of you are believers in Jesus Christ, that you say a prayer for this family. They're struggling. Pat even spoke for a moment. It was hard for him. He told us all his well is dry. And I can't imagine what he's going through right now and dealing with for his family. And so all this stuff we've talked about, all this election stuff that's taken place, perspective. Think about that. I'm going to leave you with a happy Thanksgiving, and thank you all again for your support and the community for their support. I want to leave it there.
Thanks, Mark. A couple of items that the town either has coming up or we've been a part of. I'd like to congratulate the Tennessee Jeep Plate Cruise-In on successfully attaining a specially issued license plate. The proceeds for their license plate purchases will benefit a Soldier's Child Foundation. On Sunday, Wendy Lloyd of the Tennessee Jeep Plate Cruise-In presented a check for more than $18,000 to a Soldier's Child Foundation founder and executive director Daryl Mankin. And I was able to attend. Mike Sparks, our state legislator, was able to attend. Brian and Pat were all happy to be there, and it was an exciting time and quite a process to make that happen. So congratulations to, I think she said a 19-month process is how long it took her. The Smyrna Parks and Recreation Department is seeking applications for the 2022 Kenneth Coon Victory Lifetime Service Award and the 2022 Young Leader Award. The deadline for nominations is Tuesday, November the 15th, which is quickly approaching. To obtain an application or to nominate someone, you just need to visit the Town of Smyrna .org, isn't it? .org, yeah, .org. Next, the Town of Smyrna currently has a board and advisory committee openings for the town's Municipal Industrial Development Board, Stormwater Advisory Committee, and Rutherford County Library System Board. We talked about that during the meeting. If we encourage you to become involved in your community, additional information can be found on our town website. Chief, the Smyrna Fire Department Food Drive, the 21st Annual Food Drive, will take place November 12th. They'll be at the Walmart located on Enon Springs Road East from 9 to 4. It's a great way to serve the community and give back in a positive way and impact the lives of others. Chief and them would be happy to take any food that you'd like to drop off. Chief, anything else you want to add? Check or cash or food items. There you go. If you've not had a chance to visit Lee Victory Park and see the Coos Memorial, it's been repainted and it looks spectacular. I don't know how long ago it was since it's been repainted because we've never repainted it and we don't know when it was painted before it got to us. So thanks to the company that did that, and remember all of the upkeep of the memorial is not done through taxpayer dollars. We do that through raising of funds through our run. The Town of Smyrna Christmas Parade will be December the 4th at 2 p.m. It will run from Mayfield Drive to Nolan Drive, and we encourage you to partner with us in our parade food drive and bring items for Nourish Food Bank. We're changing up a little this year, our holiday lighting ceremony. It will be Tuesday, November 22nd at 6 p.m. We're moving it from the event center to Front Street at the train depot, and lots of great new decorations going up. I drove through there today. They're really starting to look good. We'll have food trucks on site and photos with Santa and Mrs. Claus. So we invite you out to participate in that event. Couple of items. Mike, thanks to your department as well as all the others that helped make Halloween in the Park a great event. I'm always amazed at how many kids and what a great time, and all of those that participated as vendors, they're the ones that take care of bringing the candy out for the kids, and there are a ton of them. So thanks to everybody that participated. Condolences to everyone that we have mentioned tonight. It's a lot of heartache going on, and I think there's lots of prayers that need to go up. HG, thanks for your years of service with your small business. I can't even imagine how many ball teams that you have sponsored, how many ads in programs, all that you've done, and I think that's what small business is about. It's about the backbone of our community and giving back, and you definitely did that, so thank you for that. Good luck to Smyrna High School football, who's made it to the second round of the playoffs. They'll play Beach Friday night. Congratulations to Stewart's Creek, who played last Friday night. I really thought they were going to pull it out and went into overtime and weren't able to, but we were well represented. I'd like to welcome Cedric Dukes, and there's Hodge Patterson right there from Leadership Rutherford, as well as Miss Fran. So thank you all for being with us tonight, and we hope that you're learning lots in Leadership Rutherford, so we appreciate you all. Election. Yesterday was the election. First of all, I want to thank everybody who got involved. Mutt, you were a candidate, as well as Celeste Davis, and it's always tough to throw your hat in the ring. It's you get to meet a lot of people, but I hope you all will stay involved in the community and maybe choose to join a board. And I also want to thank my family. I want to thank my council family, You know, we spend a lot of time out there at early vote together, and I think you can genuinely say we enjoy spending time together and we have a good time. But I also want to thank my personal family. I couldn't do it without Mama and Daddy and Britt, Parker, Taylor, Leanne, Tim, Mary Lee, and Kenneth. They each spent yesterday at a poll from 7 to 7 for me. Last night, after the polls closed, they were out picking up signs, and Mama, Daddy, and I were out picking up big signs today. And so it was definitely a team effort, and I appreciate all of them. I also appreciate all of you who have put your trust in me as mayor of the town. I love this community, and I want to see it continue to prosper. And I think that's what each one of us up here want to continue to see. So I look forward to another 4 years. We started off this morning with a great meeting with something we hope to be able to bring to the public in the next couple of months that I think you will be super excited about. And I think this council will as well. So, council, anything else?
Workshop on the 21st this month, on a Monday.
That's correct, because of the holiday.
Okay. So if nothing else, I wish everyone a happy Thanksgiving, and we are adjourned.